Welcome back to another edition of the Sacred Heart Coaches Show, episode number 5, as we preview week 5 of the college football season, and we kick it off with our recurring guest, the head coach of the Pioneers, Mark Nofri. Coach, a tough loss on the road at Dartmouth this past weekend. What do you say to your team after a loss like that to encourage them to leave that game in the past and look ahead?
It's a learning process, obviously. We say you can take something good and you can take something bad from each game. On Sunday, we worked out, lifted, ran, watched the film, evaluated it, learned from it, and then put it behind us like we do with a win. You don't want to carry it over to the following week. And, Sunday evening, you got to let it go, whether it's a good win or a bad loss, or and kind of take some good and some bad from it and move on and learn from it. So that's what we talked about. That's what we did. And we talked about attacking everything we do on the field, off the field, that's football related to the best of our ability.
One of the things that you did get to do in the loss was you got a chance to play some of your younger players toward the end of the game. You had talked about non-conference was an opportunity for you to see what your young guys provided to your team. What did you see from them in that loss?
We looked to see how they compete, how they reacted to whether something goes right, something goes wrong. Do they know the formations, the plays? Are they playing hard? Are they playing downhill? Or is it a little bit too much for them? Is the game too fast for them at this point in time? But when you put younger guys out there, you want to see how they're going to react against another opponent and how they execute what's being called. So those are some things that we look at, or the traits that we look at when we're playing younger kids who haven't had much playing time, or guys who played for the first time.
When you look at those guys and you evaluate them, is it more looking for the execution of plays, or is it more about the intangibles that they would bring to the game?
A little bit of both. I want to see if they're able to do what we're asking them to do. Can they line up? Can they get the calls? And then athletically, how do they match up versus some of the opponents that we're playing, and how do they fit into the scheme that we're using and what we're doing? And again, I think it goes back to, are they prepared? Are they able to mentally process it at that speed? And are they physically able to handle the size and speed of the other opponent that we're playing?
Now you look ahead, we go to week 5, you're taking on Howard down in DC. It's your last game of your non-conference slate of your schedule. How important is it for your team, execution-wise, to have everything close to lockdown before you go back into Northeast Conference play?
Well, again, we've talked about this a lot as a staff, and I talk about it with the players. I don't really separate non-conference games to conference games. I think that after 4 games in the season, you should be hitting your stride. You should be finding out who your true identity is and what we're all about. And I don't know if we've done that on all 3 phases of the game. I still think there's another level that I can push the kids to. I don't think that we've played our best football yet. I'm waiting for that to happen and trying to get it out of our guys. Whether it's a conference game or non-conference game, it makes no difference to me. I want to win every one of them, and I know the kids do. But there's a process, and it's not easy. You can't just show up on Saturday afternoon and expect to win. It goes into the week before. What did you do on Sunday when you came in? What did you do on your off day Monday? How did you practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Did you do the lift? Did you eat right? Did you go to class? Did you do everything that it takes to put yourself in that best situation on Saturday afternoon? And then do you show up and do you play hard? Do you believe in what we're teaching you, what we're coaching you to do? Are you blocking out all the other, the noise or the extracurricular things that could come into play? And whether it's conference or non-conference, we put our best foot forward, and that's what I expect from my team.
Let's now move to the Ask Coach Nof section of the show. If you want to submit your questions in for future episodes, be sure to submit them on Twitter using the hashtag AskNof. Now, the first question, you've taken on Howard, as we said. It's the first time you guys are playing them ever in the program's history. So how does playing a team for the first time differ in terms of preparation, things like that, compared to facing off against a team that you've faced many times before?
I think just a little bit about, never been at Howard University and gone down to DC and played them. So that's something new for us, a new place to play. We've never played a team from the Washington, D.C. area. We played Morgan in 2012. That's more Baltimore. So it gives us an idea of a little bit going down the day before, maybe a little bit earlier, doing a walkthrough on their field, getting, accustomed to the field, the stands, and just the whole area down there and what it's all about. And then looking at the film, you're still going to get your 2 or 3 looks, sometimes even 4 looks on a team. And it's just, if you're playing that team for the first time, you don't have the years prior of films that you've played either against them, where you can go back and look and see if it's the same staff. Did they do the same things versus us? So it's relatively new in terms of how their coaches will prepare for us and what they'll put forward playing us, but again, we still have 4 looks on them, so we'll get a pretty good idea what we want to do.
And the second question, obviously, like we said, it's the last game of non-conference play. How do you put together a non-conference schedule year in and year out? What is the process that goes in?
I think just my philosophy alone, I like to play some of the best schools in the country academically and athletically. I mean, we've had a real good history of scheduling Ivy League schools, Patriot League schools. Now we're starting to get into the HBC schools as well. Try and stay within 4 to 6 hours of Fairfield, Connecticut. Howard University is an outstanding academic institution with a rich history of sports. So I'm excited about having them on the schedule and playing them. I know they've had some sports that are in the NEC. Football's not one. But again, I like to play schools that have a rich tradition in football and academics and expose our kids to as much of that as possible.
If you want to submit your questions, be sure to get them in on Twitter for future episodes. Use the hashtag AskNof. The Pioneers continue their schedule on the road against Howard down in Washington, D.C. Coach Nof, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.